Hello guys, and what's up, and welcome back to another YouTube video on my channel. This one's actually going to be featuring a different video. It's going to be the ultimate infantry guide on Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I hope you guys do actually enjoy. This guide will actually be your friend during this playthrough of the game, and it will be your typical boot to the ground event. You'll be fully prepared for this. This will actually cover every single class, including assault, heavy, and officer, as well as the specialist if you guys actually want to get down and actually hit some headshots. We'll go through every single ability, tips, and what weapons to use and how to unlock them, which attachments to use, and how star cards actually affect your gameplay and which to actually use during it. We're going to be going through every single star card and which to use and how they work. And I'm sure by the end of this video you'll actually understand every single infantry class fully and how to counter them. So I hope you guys do actually enjoy this video, and make sure you do leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Maybe even click that bell button, I don't know. I'm going to be making a lot more ultimate infantry guides for different reinforcements, heroes, and maybe even vehicles down the line, so stay tuned for that.
Sector is clear.
Alright, let's get straight into the video. I'm sure you guys already know by now and have actually played Battlefront 2. The basic infantry in this game actually spreads through several different eras. The Clone Wars, featuring the clones versus the separatist droids, as well as the original trilogy that features the Empire versus the Rebels, and lastly the sequel trilogy where the Resistance combats the First Order. And in every era, the default weapon actually differs for every single class, but the attachments actually stay the same. There are no attachments for the default weapon, as you guys probably noticed, but there is for the weapons that you unlock later in the game. First up, we have the Assault class. This is definitely my favorite class by far. I've actually leveled this up to max level, so 1000 levels. I know I'm pretty crazy, but first up, the Assault Troop actually specializes in close quarters combat and relies on agility from his abilities to wreak havoc on the battlefield. Now I'm going to actually be explaining his abilities first. The Thermal Imploder is your basic hand grenade and actually explodes after a certain duration of time. One of the first star cards that you actually unlock for the Assault class is actually the Improved Thermal Detonator. This decreases the time that it requires to detonate and actually has a larger blast radius than usual. You can actually upgrade the star cards. Pretty sure it goes from grey to green to blue to purple. Purple is actually the highest one. I'm pretty sure you actually level this up at level 35. And you get purple for every single star card. Once you've actually done this, you'll probably be up to everybody else. It doesn't actually take quite a lot to 35, just because there's a triple XP going on, and every single Wednesday there's a double XP as well, if you guys didn't actually know. If there's a Wednesday today, I suggest you guys actually hop on Star Wars Battlefront 2 and grind those levels. The best way to do that is either co-op, or if you wanted to get some PvP practice in, I'd definitely recommend Blast. I'd rather stay away from the average bigger game mode, such as Captain Supremacy or Galactic Assault. We're actually going to be moving on to the Vanguard. This is actually a short-range shotgun that allows you to have more movement speed, so you can use this at the start of the game to actually get around to different objectives, and it really helps in that certain aspect. I definitely do pop it as soon as I spawn in every single time, just because I know that by the time I actually get to the objective, I'll have the Vanguard again and it'll be off cooldown. That's how exactly I use it. Anyhow, the Vanguard has 3 different star cards that are specific to it. First of all, you have the Recharge Vanguard. This actually recharges abilities if you get a kill with the Vanguard. The abilities that you recharge are Thermal Detonator and Scan Dart. So you can literally just spam grenades after you kill somebody. I'm pretty sure I just went around wreaking havoc. I've thrown like 5 grenades. It's absolutely insane. I know it sounds really fun. It is. Next up is the Killstreak Vanguard. The Killstreak Vanguard is actually an improved version of the Vanguard that actually replenishes the time of the Vanguard after you actually defeat an enemy. And the Slug Vanguard is actually an improved version of the Vanguard that has a single slug, and this improves the range of the Vanguard and the accuracy. And you can notice it's a smaller dot, but the slug is actually very small and it requires 2 shots to kill someone and 3 shots for a heavy, but it's just 1 shot to the head. I wouldn't actually recommend using this star card as it requires quite a lot of accuracy and it's not really worth it. The normal Vanguard is definitely the best. Next up, you actually have the Scan Dart. This is a projectile that locates enemies and reveals them on the minimap, and also displays them through walls. Pretty early on into the Assault to level up, you actually unlock the improved Scan Dart. This increases the duration people are actually marked for, so hence you can see them through the walls for longer. And you can actually see them on the minimap for a bit longer, and it generates a lot of battle points. If somebody actually kills them when they're marked by your Scan Dart, you get a kill assist. If you guys don't actually know, there are certain star cards that are unique to the class. So for the Assault class, you have the Assault Training card. This card essentially gives you a small amount of health for each defeated enemy. This goes up to 40 at purple, which is very, very good. 40 health is actually no joke. That's almost a third of your HP bar, and actually gives quite a lot back on kill. And this allows you to actually face 2 different people at the same time and maybe even come out on top. Next up, you have the Smart Iron Grenade. This is actually a grenade that detonates on impact. The Iron Grenade actually automatically detonates on an enemy's shield or vehicle. They're actually very good for damaging vehicles and turrets. So they can one-shot those, and they also do 150 damage to troopers as well. Very useful for both infantry and vehicles. The next star card that you actually have is the Flash Pistol. This is kind of a fun gun to use that actually blinds enemies, as well as doing a small amount of damage. I wouldn't actually recommend using it for all the time, as there are better star cards to actually use in this class. However, it's actually definitely a fun gun to use, and it's fun seeing your enemies blinded while you can just finish them off with the Flash Pistol. The DPS is quite low, so make sure you guys actually take that into account. Next up, we have the Toughen Up. This actually replaces your Scanned Dart ability. Just know that it allows you to regenerate your health while this ability is active. The active time for it's actually about 5 seconds, and it regens your HP during all of that. I definitely recommend it, and it's one of the star cards that I personally use myself. Last up, with the star card that's unique to Assault, we actually have the Acid Launcher. This is a weapon that fires a gas canister that does damage over time to enemies and actually marks them with a white outline when you actually damage them. And just know that you actually can farm kill assist by doing this if you put it into a choke point. So the other star cards I actually missed, there are a bunch more that are actually universal to every single class. The Assault Officer, Heavy, and Specialist will actually have all these star cards that I'm going to list right now, and you can choose them later, and I definitely use some of them for the other classes as well. Our first universal star card is actually the Bodyguard one, where you take reduced damage from explosions and toxins. This one's actually not that useful, as you don't come across explosions much often unless you're going through like first phase of Camino or something, but it's usually just flash grenades. Or the doors on Death Star 2 are a pretty good choke point as well. Or on the Capital Supremacy ship in the Dreadnought, those are actually pretty big choke points as well for explosives. However, apart from that, I wouldn't actually recommend using the star card. Next up, you actually have Expert Weapons Handling, where your weapon cooling success states are actually longer, so the yellow bar that you actually activate takes a lot longer. It goes up to 66% longer duration. This is very useful for actually doing the objective, as you get to shoot without reloading for a long period of time. Next up, you actually have the Marksman star card. When you defeat an enemy with a headshot, your weapon actually won't go into cooling and it will be reset for the next time. It goes up to a 40% heat reduction. I definitely recommend this star card if you do hit a lot of headshots and using a sniper rifle, as those have low bullet magazines. Next up, you have the star card Survivalist. Your health regeneration delay is actually shorter than usual, which gives you a 40% regen delay reduction, which is actually very helpful if you have a lot of HP and you just want to actually utilize that short regen. Next up, you have the Bounty Hunter, where you gain battle points at an increased rate. The increased rate is actually 20% at purple. This is probably why you notice other players actually get heroes before you, even though you have more eliminations than them. It's because you actually have the same score. However, they actually have more battle points than you because they have this star card on. 20% is quite a lot, hence why people actually get heroes. So if you're trying to get a hero quickly, you should definitely purple out your Bounty Hunter card and make sure you use it. Next up, you have the Resourceful, where all your abilities have a shorter recharge time. It goes up to 28%. This is huge, as it recharges your abilities by a quarter. This is very useful for other classes that utilize a lot of their abilities, such as the Officer. Next up, you actually have the Brawler star card. When you defeat an enemy in melee combat, your abilities refresh and gain a small amount of health. This actually goes up to 100 per. I would actually recommend using the star card, as you don't find yourself meleeing very often, and you usually settle gunfights with guns and not actually hands. I don't recommend actually just walking up to someone and meleeing them. You'd probably end up getting yourself killed, but I know a few people have gotten away with their lives. It's definitely very embarrassing for the enemy. And that actually concludes the universal star cards for now. And we're going to actually be bringing up weapons. The default weapon, as you guys know, I described before, differs for every single era, and there's no attachments for any of them. The clones actually wield the DC-15A. The droids have the E5. The Empire has the E11. The Rebels have the A280C, not to be actually confused with the A280. This is the carbine version of it, and it's smaller. The First Order have the F11D. The Resistance actually have the EL16. This isn't actually the EL16 HFE. It's just the EL16, and it has a smaller damage output. And most of these guns actually have the same stats, but they differ slightly, especially in appearance. However, the weapons that you unlock later down the line, which is the A280, the CR2, and the EL16 HFE, you unlock the A280 at 50 kills, the CR2 at 200 kills, and the EL16 HFE at 400 kills. My personal favorite is actually the A280 because there's a one-shot headshot when you hit all 4 shots with the burst at short range, which makes the time to kill pretty impressive, and I definitely recommend it if you're really good at aiming. It definitely rewards better aim. However, I know a lot of people that actually recommend using the EL16 HFE. However, I feel like that actually punishes you quite a lot if you miss shot. Whereas the CR2 is actually compared to the P90 in CSGO. I don't know if you actually had that reference before, but it's just basically the skill 90s, just a spray and pray gun. The time to kill is pretty impressive as well, and all these weapons are actually really good for the assault. As you guys know, the Assault A280 actually has attachments for it. The attachments you actually unlock at 25, 75, and 150. For the A280, you actually equip improved cooling and improved range. This is actually the best one. I think the dual zoom attachment isn't actually that helpful. You can only equip 2 mods at a time, so I wouldn't actually recommend using the dual zoom, as the other 2 attachments just come out a lot better. Next up, there's the CR2. For the CR2, I only use the reduced recoil attachment. I don't actually use the ion shot. That helps against shields, as it reduces the damage per shot by like 2. That I don't actually like, as it reduces the time to kill. And then last up is the night vision attachment, which I don't find myself using often, since the maps don't actually rotate in nighttime very often. However, you guys can actually put it on, as well as the CR2 is actually quite a CQC weapon, so you never find yourself using the scope. Last up, you have the EL16 HFE. This is a steady, sturdy, and built for medium to long range combat. The EL16 actually has the reduced recoil as the first attachment, and then the improved range attachment, which I use both of those. I don't actually use the dual zoom again. It's kind of the same with the A280, just because I feel like the attachments help a lot more than the dual zoom. If you guys actually look in first person, you'll be able to use a lot of the scopes without having the dual zoom attachment. I'm actually going to finish off this assault section with my personal build. It actually goes as the following. I use the A280 for my first gun, and I use the attachments improved cooling and reduced recoil. I also use the star cards Assault Training, Bounty Hunter, and Toughen Up. Those are my go-to. I like to run in places. I actually get kills such as the Camino clip that I posted before, and I think this is the best assault build. Hands down, it should be your go-to. If you actually don't need Bounty Hunter and you're going for kills rather than score, you should definitely try swap out Bounty Hunter for improved thermal detonator, and that should work out pretty handy. Actually, next video we're actually going to be going back to heavy officer and specialist. I did actually want to have them all in one video, but it turns out like the video lasted like 30 to 40 minutes, and I didn't really want to make it that long. This one's pretty long as it is. And if you guys actually want to stay tuned for more of it, make sure you leave a subscription with the bell button. If you guys have any comments, make sure you list them down below, because I'll be answering every single one, because my following's pretty small at the moment. And I hope you guys do enjoy future videos with me, and I'll catch you guys later.